Mandabuzz fires off the aerial ace of the opponent, then pivots out into Typhlosion. Old trainer, are you sure that's the switch you're looking for in Season 22? Welcome back to the channel. My gosh, today do we have a banger of a battle submission from MLG69 Dank Memes, who we are going to reference as MLG for the duration of today's video. MLG is running my favourite sort of team, a triple shadow, a triple buff team here in the Open Great League. We've got Shadow Dust Noir. You already know how good this thing is. With access now to Dynamic Punch, it's got coverage even for its hardest counters. Team partners today are two Pokemon that are getting very little love in the Season 22 move update, and I can't quite figure out why. We've got the Wrecking Ball, Shadow Forretress with access to that busted move of Rock Tomb. Forretress has a monstrous defensive typing, having only one singular weakness to fire, which of course Rock Tomb will hit back for super effective damage. Rounding today's team off, we've got the Forgotten Hedgehog. We all know how good Alolan Sandslash is. Well, this season, Kanto Sandslash might have a little something to say about who the best Hedgehog is. Today, we're opting for Night Slash for coverage into all them buffed Ghost and Psychic types. And again, Rock Tomb, hoping to nuke some unsuspecting Flyers and Ice types. Without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game one, we get things underway with some Shadow and Shadow Crime, Forretress into Galarian Weezing. Most Weezing this season will be running Brutal Swing and Sludge. However, I've been overheated to the face, so you never know. The opponent fire off the Brutal Swing. We look to return fire with the Rock Tomb, but the opponent actually catches it onto Spirit Tomb. MLG more than happy to stay in, knowing he's going to be able to outpace, or I should say he/she. I'm not entirely sure on the gender, and it is wrong for me to assume. Firing off the next Rock Tomb, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. MLG going to be very happy to see Spirit Tomb on the field of play, meaning Dust Noir now no longer has to face it. We send out Sandslash. This is 2-stage debuff, so Shadow Ball shouldn't do too much damage. The opponent actually very horny for their own attack drop. Fire off the Rock Tomb, lowering our attack, but doing very little damage. The opponent then sends out Lapras. Sandslash for that Rock type coverage. Fires off the Rock Tomb, even debuffed, rocking them down to around a third health. We then see the pivot into Dust Noir. Dust Noir opting for quicker energy generation on Hex. We're unwilling to shield the debuff Sparkling Aurea, saving our Protect shields for the super effective Brutal Swings. G-Weezy hits the field of play. We shield up the Brutal Swing, throw the correct one Hex and the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch goes unshielded. And at this point, I think we can just save our shield for Sandslash, and we should be able to just Sand Attack farm down everything. Brutal Swing removes us from the field of play. Sandslash, Sand Attack farms down G-Weezy. Back out comes Lapras. Lapras, I was going to say get Sand Attack farm down. The opponent reaches the departing charge move. We've got a shield. Of course, we're shielding up, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Forretress into Grumpig. Forretress going to be able to resist the Psywave damage, which is very advantageous for us. We're going to see MLG invest the first Protect Shield, shielding up the Shadow Ball, and then apply that debuff. I think when you use Rock Tomb users, it's pretty safe to shield the first move, fire off the debuff, meaning subsequent ones after that will do less. As the Rock Tomb went unshielded, MLG should be able to tank any one move. The opponent fire off the Shadow Ball and then fully Volt Switch farm down, leaving with yet more debuffs to apply to Pokemon number 2. Out comes Cradilly. The opponent going to have a near impossible task of Bullet Seed farming us down, and the opponent's about to get debuffed once again. Forretress. Oof, this Pokemon's so annoying. Cradilly's an absolute monster this season, but the issue is its charge moves are quite expensive. They have to dump 50 energy just to remove us from the field of play. We send out Dust Noir. The opponent resets that double debuff and send out Togetic. Togetic greeted with the Shadow Punch. MLG then farms up and looks to sacrifice Sandslash to the Pokegods. If the opponent gets greedy, heavily overfarming, we might be able to surprise nuke him with the Rock Tomb, but the opponent not messing around. Just look to fire off the Psyshock, removing Sandslash from the field of play. Sandslash in this battle being used as the meat shield. MLG putting all their hopes and dreams on Dust Noir, cleaning up. Dust Noir fires off the Shadow Punch, removing Togetic from the field of play. Back out comes Cradilly. We're going to fire off the Shadow Punch bait. Shadow Punch forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and that is going to be the final nail in this opponent's coffin. They fire off the Rock Tomb, debuffing Dust Noir's attack, but we've got that Dynamic Punch locked and loaded and even debuffed. That is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see a fantastic lead. This is one of the very few matchups where Aerial Ace is actually the correct move to throw. If Frenzy Plant is only one stage typing effectiveness difference to Aerial Ace, Frenzy Plant is not only more energy efficient, but also does more damage. So examples of that would be Mandabuzz, Drifblim, Frenzy Plant is still the correct move to throw. Forretress is one of the few Pokemon that double resist grass, meaning Aerial Ace is actually the correct way to go. The opponent pivots out of that abysmal matchup, sending out Steelix. Steelix instantly greeted with the debuff, and out comes Sandslash. Sandslash fires off the Night Slash, putting it in a range where we should be able to fully Sand Attack farm them down. The opponent fire off the Psychic Fangs, debuffing Sandslash's attack and effectively deleting that debuff they previously received. This isn't an Earthquake, so any one move should be survivable. The opponent fire off the Crunch, and Sandslash does get that massive Sand Attack farm down. Back out comes Superior, and once again they're about to get debuffed. Oof, I feel bad for this opponent. Sandslash just misses out on the Night Slash. However, we send back out Forretress, the opponent pivots into the Quagman, and here comes Dusknoir with a 2-to-1 shield advantage. Dusknoir farms the Dynamic Punch, fires off the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch goes unshielded. Any one move is survivable. We've got 2 shields. I'd probably consider start using them. We do invest to protect shield, blocking up the Aqua Tail. The super spammy Quagman already at the next Aqua Tail. Dusknoir willing to tank the damage. Dusknoir then over farms, fires off the Shadow Punch, looking to move Quagsire from the field of play. Down goes the Quagman, and this game looks over. MLG could shield this move, could let it go. I don't really see too many win cons left for the opponent, as I'm not entirely sure how they intend to remove Forretress from the field of play. Throwing an alignment isn't going to do anything to help their case either. The opponent fire off the Aerial Ace, of course. We shield the first move, knowing subsequent ones after this will do less. We fire off the Rock Tomb, forcing the opponent's final protection. They're playing out to the very bitter end, but we're really not inside Aerial Ace range. The opponent actually fire off the Frenzy Plant, probably assuming it does more damage. But as I said previously, this is one of the few matchups where Aerial Ace is actually the correct move to throw. We fire off the Rock Tomb and take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see PvPoke's #1 ranked pick, Mandibuzz. But unfortunately for this annoying Vulture, this is a negative lead for them. Forretress more than happy to stay in. The opponent fire off the Aerial Ace. They then pivot out into Typhlosion. Old trainer, are you sure about that swap? We fire off the Rock Tomb. The opponent shows no respect, get one shot, vanquish back to their Pokeball, and the opponent concedes the match. Heading into the next battle, we see Drifblim in the lead. Interestingly, this opponent still running Astonish as opposed to the buffed, quicker energy generation from Hex this season. This could be a Mystical Fire, or thank God it was not, as that would have been double super effective and cleanly knocked us out. We fire off the Rock Tomb, forcing the first protection of the game. Drifblim able to one shield, fully Astonish farm down. MLG sends out Dusknoir. It looks like we got one turn bring in, so unfortunately don't sneak our Hex, which means we're going to take one extra Astonish, which is kind of unfortunate. Why is that bug still not patched? Niantic, what are you doing? Out comes Licky, far too thicky, and despite being debuffed, we are YOLOing the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch instantly rocks him below half health. We see the pivot into Sandslash, and out comes Frostlass. Oh boy, do they know. Does the opponent respect the damage? Rock Tomb! Oh, go shielded. Sandslash gets denied of its big boom. Frostlass also has access to Hex, but this opponent still opting for Powder Snow. This game now gets dicey as they're on triple axle. What the opponent gives us a way out, throwing on alignment. Does that enable Dusknoir to fully Hex farm down before the next triple axle is reached? Yes, it does. We leave with the Dynamic Punch. The opponent doesn't want that work, and they concede the match. GG's. In the next battle, we see Primeape in the lead. We throw one Volt Switch and make the pivot into Dusknoir. Forretress kind of neutral in that matchup. Despite being a steel type, our bug subtyping means fighting only hits us for neutral. Dusknoir tanks the first Rage Fist, fires off the Shadow Punch, rocking Primeape into the red health range. MLG looks to shield at the next Rage Fist before fully Hex farming down. I'm quite surprised to see the opponent concede a farm down. Perhaps they haven't got an answer for Dusknoir. They take a very long time before sending out Clodsire. Clodsire applying very, very little fast move pressure, as poison is resisted by Ghost. The opponent then tries to catch onto Cradilly, but all they catch is a Dynamic Punch to the face. Dynamic Punch sneaks through 2 Protect Shields, switch timers up, and back out comes Forretress. Bug Steel is such a good typing. Bug, of course, takes super effective from Rock, but Steel does resist, meaning we now neutralise that threat. With that in mind, we're able to tank the Rock Tomb, go for the correct 2 Volt Switches and the Rock Tomb, removing Cradilly from the field of play. Back out comes Clodsire, but the opponent plays the CMP tile. They do not win. Shout out Homesite Henry for that quote. They shield up a Rock Tomb, and this game already looks over. The opponent does fire off the Earthquake, removing us from the field of play, but they're now debuffed. We send out Sandslash, and we are going for some bad manners, throwing yet another Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb goes unshielded, rocks him into the red. Oh boy, no one move will knock out Shadow Sandslash. The opponent fire off the Earthquake, easy tank for us. We send attack farm down and take that game. In the next battle, oh hello Azumarill, nice to see you nice. Yet another commanding lead for Fortress. Unless the opponent's on Hydro Pump, their charge moves will be fully walled. We fire off the Rock Tomb, debuffing Azumarill's already non-existent attack. The opponent at least farms the Hydro Pump. Are we about to get pumped to the face? No, we're not. It's just an Ice Beam. So if you use Azumarill in this matchup, you should definitely go for Play Rough. It does at least get the same type attack bonus. The opponent fire off. Yet another Ice Beam. We attempt to Volt Switch farm down. The opponent makes a heads up play, sending out Gastrodon. Gastrodon does get debuffed, but able to snipe down Fortress. We now send out Dusknoir. Dusknoir, of course, is the correct Pokemon to send out here. The opponent is going to have to full send an Earth Power or Water Pulse to do any meaningful damage. The opponent invests the Protect Shield, then able to sneak the Earth Power through 2 Protect Shields. Dusknoir, thankfully, able to hang on as they are debuffed and reach one further Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch isn't quite lethal, but able to snipe with a Sand Attack. Back out comes Azumarill. Why? I'm not entirely sure. It just gives us free farm, and out comes Jumpluff. This is where that Rock type coverage gonna come in clutch. Rock Tomb does over half their health, meaning 2 will be lethal. MLG with 2 Protect Shields, gonna instantly put up a shield and what I assume to be an Aerial Ace bait. The opponent does fire off the Aerial Ace bait. There is no way that's an Energy Ball, right? MLG agrees, tanking the Aerial Ace. Why would you not at least farm up the Energy Ball? There's no way they've done enough Fairy Winds to reach an Aerial Ace and Energy Ball respectively. Of course, this is still week 1 of the season, so players aren't always playing optimally. I think the opponent definitely could have won this game, but they end up making a few mistakes, sending out Azumarill just to give us free farm. Huge mistake there, and of course not farming up to the Energy Ball, enabling us to keep our shield intact, and we're able to take that game. Heading into the next battle. We don't see the best lead. We this time utilise Sandslash on the Say switch. Oh! There's the big boom, and I was yapping away and I almost missed it. Artibax showed absolutely no respect for our rock type coverage. Near got one shot. Oh boy, we even boost as well. Sandslash finally absolutely popping off. The opponent shielded the first Night Slash. The second Night Slash forces the final Protect Shield. Unfortunately, we're unable to reach one more. Much to my displeasure, Sandslash gets Mud Slap farm down. MLG sends out Dusknoir with 2 Protect Shields, shields up the Rock Tomb, and fires off the Shadow Punch, looking to remove Claydol from the field of play. Claydol, one very bulky Pokemon. This thing's essentially 9-6 Love Charm. They buff it time and time again. Is it finally good this season? I'm not really sure. I might try it out and test it for myself. Out comes Furret. Quick switch back into Fortress. Fortress fires off the Rock Tomb, debuffing their attack. This thing does have access to both Dig and Brick Break. That would hit us for neutral, but I'm going to assume they're on Trailblaze and Swift, the double buffed moveset this season. The opponent did fire off the Trailblaze. I guess we shielded. Trying to be cautious and not losing with a shield intact, which is something I've become, I wouldn't say famous, I'm not famous, but known for. We fire off the Rock Tomb, moving Furret from the field of play. Quick switch back into Dusknoir. We Hex farm down, and we are going to be emerging victorious. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we see Big Boy Blastoise in the lead. I'll be honest, I for one was super happy this thing's become meta relevant. I'm quite old. I only pretty much knew the Kanto Pokemon before playing this game, so I want all the Kanto Pokemon to be good, just so I don't have to think, what the hell is this thing called? Spoiler alert, when some of these new Pokemon are released, I have no idea what the hell they're called. I normally have to go onto like Wikipedia and try and get someone to pronounce it before I try and potato my way for a shoutcast. This opponent is so weak to Fortress, it is unbelievable. They sent out Dugong. Dugong fired off the Drill Run, then gets fully Volt Switch farm down. Back out comes Blastoise. Fortress trying to 1v3 a team, fires off the Rock Tomb, removing them from the field of play. Out comes Toxapex. They are indeed triple weak to Fortress. But we pivot out into Dusknoir. Dusknoir going to fire off the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. Dusknoir so incredibly spammy. Already the next Shadow Punch. Trainer, you haven't even seen Sandslash yet. This game is completely unwinnable. Toxapex has bulk for days, but hits like a wet noodle brine. Doesn't do much of anything. The opponent wanting that work, so MLG about to give it to him. Shadow Punch forces the opponent's final protection. The opponent looking for that Poison Jab farm down, unable to get it before one further Shadow Punch is reached. The opponent finally fully poison jab farm us down. We send out Fortress just to use it as the damage sponge. Brian removes us from the field of play. We send out Sandslash, sand attack farm down, and take that game. These battles are all sent to me individually, so they're probably out of order, but you can see MLG able to clutch up a big fat 5-0. In the next battle, we see the battle of the buff Pokemon. Nice to catch Spiritomb in the lead position and keep it far away from our Dusknoir. In this battle of debuffing Pokemon, the opponent has the higher attacks. They're able to debuff us before we're able to debuff them. MLG tanks the damage, returns fire with the Rock Tomb, Rock Spiritomb. Below half health, we see the pivot into Sandslash, baiting out Drapion. More than fine for us. Very, very happy to see Drapion on the field of play. We sneak the Rock Tomb through 2 Protect Shields and even debuff this incoming Aqua Tail. Sandslash tanks the Aqua Tail before Sand Attack farming down. Back out comes Spiritomb, looking for that Sucker Punch farm down, but Sandslash says no. Reaches the Night Slash, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. MLG sends out Dusknoir looking to load up on energy at the cost of 1 Protect Shield. The opponent, of course, fire off the Rock Tomb. I had zero doubt in my mind that there was going to Shadow Ball, and of course, even a Rock Tomb needs to be respected. The opponent sends out Clodsire. We reset our debuff, sending out Fortress. The opponent recognises they're going to be unable to Poison Sting farm us down, fire off the Stone Edge. Back out comes Dusknoir. Good fast move timing is paramount here. Using a 3-turn move into a 2-turn move. It's nice and simple, just throwing an odd number. Does Dusknoir have enough in the tank to get through this Clodsire? The opponent fire off the Stone Edge, forcing our final Protect Shield. Again, good timing, 1 Hex and the Shadow Punch. It looks like perhaps even 3 won't be lethal, or maybe it will after 1 more Hex. We need to hope so. If not, we're in trouble. Oof, who was worried? I was worried, but why? I don't know, as Dusknoir cleans up. GG's and very well played. Heading into the next battle, we find ourselves a problematic lead. We see the instant pivot into Dusknoir, and out comes Greedent. Come on, trainer, it's just a Shadow Punch bait, I promise. Dynamic Punch. Boo, forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. The opponent almost certainly has Crunch, or you probably wouldn't switch in Greedent into a Dusknoir. They do indeed have Crunch, but Crunch simply does not cut it. Dusknoir holds strong, reaches 1 further Dynamic Punch, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent doesn't look to Bullet Seed farm down, opt to fire off the Body Slam, removing us from the field of play. If we can exit this matchup with residual energy, the opponent might be reluctant to send back out that Pancake, as Fortress does of course have access to Earthquake. When I'm using my Shadow Fortress in Ultra League, I'll be running Earthquake and Rock Tomb, so with that in mind, the opponent might be forced to reveal their third. The non-stab crunches weren't doing much of anything, so we can probably just tank another one and fully Volt Switch farm down. We actually bank a bucket of energy, make the pivot into Sandslash, and look to start getting ahead in energy. The opponent fire off the Body Slam, then send out Trevenant. But Trevenant, you are not a Sandslash counter with no shields to hide behind the first Night Slash. Rocks them below half health, and oh baby, there's the boost. Sandslash instantly going to shield up the incoming Seed Bomb. MLG not going to overfarm, just looks to remove Trevenant from the field of play, and Night Slash will certainly be achieving that outcome. The opponent was able to save Greedent, so it can potentially be used as the third shield. MLG going to need to show great composure to clean up this battle. Back out comes Stunfisk. Stunfisk fires off the Mud Bomb, forcing the final Protect Shield. There's the attempted catch. MLG shows great composure, holding their energy. Back out comes Stunfisk. Stunfisk greeted with the Night Slash. Night Slash rocks them below half health, and the opponent just about able to outpace. Have we Sand attacked them into a range where a Rock Tomb will be lethal? Moment of truth. Is this Rock Tomb enough to knock out these Volt Switches? Are triple resisted. Rock Tomb doesn't get the job done. Or if we're able to triple resisted Volt Switch farm down and win an absolute nail biter. GG's and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's very entertaining shoutcast. A huge shout out to MLG69 Dank Memes for this very fun showcase on a Sunday afternoon. I think Fortress is looking phenomenal. I think I've got a sneaky feeling it might be even better in Ultra League. And if you want to see Shadow Fortress in Ultra League, you're on the right channels. I have one built, locked and loaded, and I cannot wait to test it out. It was very refreshing to see one of the OGs, Kanto Sandslash, now finally have some play. It's still ranked quite low on PvPoke. I think it's like 300th or something. But that combination of its Legacy Night Slash and Rock Tomb for coverage give it so much potential in this meta. Night Slash able to hit all them Ghosts and Psychics, and Rock Tomb able to hit all the Flyers, especially Mandibuzz, which is currently PvPoke's #1 ranked pick. And after week 1 of the season, people will start trying out some more try-hard teams, so expect it to be more common. Dust Noir needs no introduction. It's currently ranked inside the top 10 on PvPo. And now with its coverage mover, Dynamic Punch, is an absolute meta top dog. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. Link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.